My name is Alvin Fry. I'm a violin maker. I've been building instruments for 30 plus years, most of my adult life, and I have basically done it from a research standpoint to try and understand what it was that made Stradivarius violins stand out through 450 years of instrument making as the very best. These instruments from the 1600s and early 1700s sell for $2 and $3 and $5 million each. There is a reason they are the best instruments made, but the question is, how do we describe this? How do we understand this? How do we set a way of knowing if someone is making an instrument that good? That's what the basis of my research is. I've completed all of that now, and I want to write a book about it and explain it all. The end result of this book would be that any competent builder who studied this book would be able to make a violin as good as a Stradivarius, the best Stradivarius. And that's the project. This has been an unbelievably large project for me over the years. Initially, my first thought was, how do we verbally explain a Stradivarius violin in a way that the average lay person could understand it and musicians could agree on it? What way do we know that we get into a place where we can say this is an instrument that may be the quality of Stradivarius, therefore we can test it. If it does not do this, if we do not think this about it, then it's not worth considering. But it has to be indisputable. This description, this initial first description, has to be something unassailable. It has to be right. And I pondered over this for untold years. And about 10 years ago, when it started all coming to me, it occurred to me at a concert where this fellow was playing a very good old Italian violin in a 500-seat concert hall, which I knew had wonderful acoustics because I listened to classical guitar concerts there without amplification, just the guitar itself, and it was beautiful. So I just assumed a violin would be an extraordinary sound in it. Well, the grand piano had the lid fully raised. The violin is playing, they're in concert position, and the piano is beating this violin to death. I mean, it was absolutely appalling how thin and weak this violin sounded. And it occurred to me that that is our explanation. A violin should be whatever qualities, whatever way that we describe it, however, what way we attribute the sound to it, that it has to be equal to a grand piano. We have to feel when we're listening that this grand piano and this violin are equal instruments. As I investigated this, I spoke to many pianists, concert pianists, and they said that it was a real standard thing that I heard, that the pianists, when they're doing duets with the violinist in a recital setting, that 30 or 40% of their energy is spent trying to play under the violin in order that the violin would sound good. And the thought occurred to me that it's not a collaboration between the pianist and the violinist. It is the pianist trying to play down his sound so that the violin sounds okay. And what I really want to hear is the violinist interpreting the music as he sees it and wants to express it, and the pianist full expression of his concept of what the music is for him, and hear that blended together with no inhibitions. And I found very interestingly enough that the best Stradivarius violins are unable to be overpowered by a grand piano with the lid raised. I thought, well, isn't that wonderful? We have a description of a way to initially test a violin to see if it's in the league of a Stradivarius. All we have to do is play it next to a grand piano with the lid fully raised in a concert hall of 500 seats or more. And if the violin sounds weak and thin, then there's something wrong. There's a sound that we hear, that the audience hears, that's very different from what the musician hears. The musician cannot tell what the sound is like in the hall. They can only tell what it sounds like under their ear. What we just described is a way that the audience is gauging, assessing the value of the instrument, determining how much they like the concert. What we want now is to find a second thing that is unique about Stradivarius. This is what the musician gets, since they don't hear different to a large degree. Their sense of what's going on in the hall is limited to what they hear right next to their ear. So the thing that the player gets is that though there is some quality that enables it not to be overpowered by the grand piano, we would call it volume probably, except that I found that's not the case. It's actually clarity, but it is a lot more sound. What the musician gets that's playing the instrument is that when they're fingering the instrument, the strings move are easier to play. They do not have to press their hands as hard. They can play faster and cleaner. They use less energy on their bow. So we get a contradiction here. One, we have an instrument that plays easier than other instruments, but it's unable to be overpowered by a grand piano with the lid raised. Now that is an unusual combination, and you will not accidentally get that virtually ever. So this is what we want in our first two things to know about an instrument. This will separate your violin from a grand piano. This will tell you if it's in the league of Stradivarius. I have fully and absolutely concluded all testing and work to determine that that is a standard that I can maintain. What I wish to do now for my project is to write a book and present all of this information. 1, how does the instrument get the sound? 2, what is the sound and how do we describe it? 3, what measuring devices will verify this? I have absolutely done all of this, and I wish now to put it in a book. I ask you to pledge to this project whatever way you can and help me make my contribution to society. Thank you, and have a pleasant day.